glossy and glamorous and valet parking and fancy signs, but what actually appeared on the plate, nobody really gave a shit about. But now they do, and it's a different world. So the video spotlights a lot of me going to places that I love, like Fantasyland Records and Tweed's, a shop on the west side, right next to Octane. And Octane on the west side is doing a fantastic job and always has with coffee, something I dearly love. But it's also, I think, the point of YP and the point of a service like that is to diagnose the busy bee cafes, the places like that fall under the radar sometimes for a broader spectrum of our community. And they bring us together when we figure out where those places are. And it's our duty to come to terms with the fact that we have a lot of currency in this world to throw at places that are doing the right thing. And that's what makes them go around. You have to fulfill their business plan every day of places you love by meeting their expectation of how often you're supposed to go there. You're not supposed to come here once a year. That's not my business plan. I want you there more than that. And Busy Bee wants me to have fried chicken there at least once a month. And Octane expects me to go there once a week when I'm in town. And I'm happy to fulfill that expectation because they're happy to do it with a smile on their face and an excitement, and work really hard at it to deliver a true face of Atlanta, which is really, really exciting time to be in. So we're here celebrating all these things. I'm on book tour these days, so I just got back to New York last night. I was in California all last week, et cetera, and then I go to Aspen and New York and blah, blah, blah. But that's my world right now. But even when I'm away, I hanker for being back at home, and whether it's Athens or Atlanta, it's a place that I dearly love. And as a transplant from Canada, it's a place that's welcomed me with open arms. And I can't say enough about the South and where it's going. I think we've come to terms with a lot. I think we've made amazing strides to be real, and I think that's the most important thing we can do. But the book is a look at our CSA box in Athens, Georgia, and what we do with it every week. And it's a way to answer that age-old question, what the hell do I do with kohlrabi? Which comes up a lot in my world, because I'm that chef in Athens that people ask all those questions of, and I don't mind. So in this way, it's just meant to be getting people to pull off the blinders of cooking and into the kitchen every day and realize that the best time you'll ever have with yourself and your family is cooking from scratch and investing in your community and buying at a farmer's market and figuring out the names of the local farmer and making that connection and reducing the number of hands that come between you and the producer in the transaction. So I think that that's what YP is doing with the local push, and I think that they're highlighting a lot of stuff that needs your support and of people we love dearly. So it's good. You guys enjoying food?
Yes!
Awesome. Well, you guys continue. I'm going to be around wandering through, and feel free to chat or whatever. That's about it. They got any questions? You can ask me anything. Yes.
So I'm a Georgia grad.
Okay, awesome. Go Dogs.
Yeah. Go Dogs. How did you originally end up in Athens?
I lived in Atlanta for 2 years when I was 10 to 12. Went to Christ the King, lived on Robinson Road. I'm not Catholic, but it was the school nearby. And then I lived in Clemson, South Carolina for 2 years, and I met a friend of mine was a woman named Mary. We just hung out in grade school or whatever, middle school, and way later on, after all these years, she became my wife, and moved out here. That's the story of that. But now, we have 2 kids, and we've been here for going on 20 years, and it's been great. I mean, being in Georgia has meant a ton to me. So now we've got restaurants in Atlanta and Athens and Savannah, and Megan keeps asking for one. I keep turning them down, but maybe someday. It's really hot there this summer. So we just love the amazing spread of geographical difference in the state, and I think there's just a lot to celebrate. There's a maturity that's been recently found in Georgia that I kind of revere. I think it's progressive and interesting, and I think it's changing for all the good. So it's a good place to be. Anybody else?
Dimitri,
Yes.
can you tell us you have an upcoming restaurant in Ponce Market?
I have an upcoming coffee shop in Ponce City Market. So we, as a lease stipulation, we have to serve breakfast here. And as a business person, I was like, well, what if breakfast is really quiet? So I put in a coffee shop at the end of the bar to just service the building, and that would fulfill coffee needs. But we've been always busy at breakfast, so everything's open at breakfast. But what it made us realize is how much we love coffee and the idea of coffee. And I think we're seeing nationwide, and specifically very much in Atlanta, the third rail of things. The third rail of things is when people say, well, Starbucks has taken over independent coffee shops and they're going to drive everybody out of business. Well, 5 years later, you see that the baristas have pulled back and studied what Starbucks has done and realized that they know this much about coffee and this is coffee. And so if I can hire baristas who are totally nerding out on the concept of coffee and immersing themselves in the beauty of something that is so deep and so amazingly nuanced, that we can expand the parameters of what it means to serve knowledge every day in the form of coffee. So we're expanding that again by doing a pretty large kiosk idea in Pond City Market, which I just firmly believe is going to be an awesome regeneration of that side of Atlanta, which is so important to us historically. So it's called Spiller Park, which is the old name of the first Atlanta baseball team. This stadium, it was the Atlanta Crackers, and that's the history of it. So it's on ponds right next to it, and it was called Spiller Park, and there's really interesting historical look at it. So in the same way that this place is called Empire State of the South or Empire State South, because the old nickname of Georgia post-Civil War, a marketing group came in and wanted to position Georgia as the cultural and economic hub of the New South, which is a term I hate. And in that way, we just cinched it to make sure that to me, it's a marking that Georgia's important, and it's a place of revolutionary change and interesting stuff going on. And this is how we celebrate it. So. Yes.
Is there anything you could do to bring Top Chef to Atlanta? Anything I can do to help?
Yeah, there was chatter about it being in the South this year, and it didn't fall into place. I don't know what's going on. I gotta be honest, I do not make this decision. I know everybody looks at me and go, you probably drive that ship, don't you? So no, I drive this ship. That's about the only ship I like to drive. Yes.
Do you follow food blogs? And if you do, what are some of your favorite food blogs you follow?
Yeah, I don't read food blogs honestly too much. I love the idea of them, but we try and narrow the point at which we read criticism of ourselves. It gets us into a deep hole of sort of questioning ourselves. So, but no, we do read a lot of them. I think Eat in Atlanta has been great. So yeah, I will read more. I follow a lot of you on Instagram and stuff. So we keep in touch that way.
So a pop-off from your question, how social helping you grow your brand? Because you're on all the time, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter. I don't think it helps my brand. It probably hurts my brand. I use social media to be completely a portrayal of me, not the restaurants. And hopefully that appeals to a lot of people. It's going to turn off some. Hopefully what people get out of it is that I am a very ingrained and immersed part of this community that I care immensely about, but I'm also a jackass who will make fun of things. So, if somebody was like, I don't know, somebody was commenting that I needed to do more fruity shots of food on my blog, and I was just like, it's, my day these days is spent in Delta lunches and winning by the toaster. So it's often not cooking fine food in the airport. So, but I think it helps. It's allowed us to have a quick and easy outlet for marketing that's effective. I think followers and things like that, we're pretty regionalized in that way, so it's a lot of them are just in our backyard, so we can really pull with them. With, say, something simple such as ticket sales for a charity event we're doing tonight at Argosy. Steve, one of my partners here, is the wine director. He was like, oh, dude, you need to put out something about it. And when I did, we sold about 100 more tickets within the hour. Good. So we realized that it's got currency, it's got worth to it, and it can get things out there. But to me, I'm out to show people, to show how I curate my own life. Whether you like it or not, that's up in the air. I actually don't really care. But to be loved, but I actually enjoy it. So I kind of hated it too. Yes.
What is your favorite recipe in your book?
You know, there are 200 recipes in it. They're hard to figure out a favorite. It's like picking a child. But we secretly all have favorites.
Yes.
There's a recipe in there for griddled asparagus right now with grits and piperade and poached eggs that's really great as a sort of home brunch offering we should cook next weekend for Father's Day. So there are things like that that are fun and reactive to what's in the market. But to me, I just want you to use it as a launching off point to really discover food again in your own kitchen and try new things. It's a lot of just techniques that can be used for a lot of different ways. So it's good. Anything else? Yes.
Are there certain ingredients that you enjoy cooking with, and then certain that are not cooked as much that you were kind of experimenting with and learning to enjoy that?
You know, I mean, I think the book is a vegetable-centric look at the agrarian South and how we use it all. I'm most excited these days to cook with vegetables overall. I eat in a different way than a lot of the restaurants are positioned. I eat very healthy. I eat a lot of salad. So that's the stuff I like to cook at home. But then again, I mean, it's like the most classic home meal for us is going to be a beautiful whole roasted chicken with Carolina gold rice and pan gravy, and then sauteed greens and sliced tomatoes and roasted carrots. But that's Sunday, you know. It's easy and simple, and people are like, well, it takes a lot of time to cook that way, and it just doesn't. And you know, I don't think you end up going 6 feet into the ground complaining about the time you spend in your kitchen with your family. You never do. And it's the best times of your life will be had cooking for your loved ones and hanging out with them, and also teaching them. I'm big into figuring out how to teach kids, not just my own, how to have life skills and how to have retainable knowledge for when they hit 20 to be able to be self-sufficient to a degree. So, yes.
What's some of your favorite chefs here in Atlanta?
Here in Atlanta, I love Annie Quattrano at Bacchanalia. I think she's always been great. Drew Van Leeuwen, who's at Seven Lamps, is a phenomenally gifted chef. Dwayne Nutters at the airport at One Food South is a crazy, hilarious giant of a man. Gentle giant of a man. So there's a lot of people I really revere in this. And, you know, Lyndon Hopkins and Kevin Gillespie, and there's a lot of great things happening right now in the restaurant scene. And it's not high and it's not low end, it's everything. And I think what Todd Ginsburg's doing at Yala and General Muir has been revolutionary quietly for Atlanta. If you haven't been to Yala, it's the best sandwich you will ever have. And those are the things that we need to get out there. But Krog's really positioned themselves as a smart collection of restaurants. And sometimes you think there's a saturation point for the number of restaurants, but you know what? There's never a saturation for better restaurants. So as you think you have enough dining seats in Atlanta, you take off the bottom and you make them go away because they're crappy, they're exploitive restaurants and they suck, and you replace it with much better somethings. And that's what we're doing slowly but surely. The industry is churning in the right way, and we're becoming better and better at what we do. So, and better means that we sleep better at night and how we run our operations and how we create family and create community. Yes.
How do you balance everything? Your family, your work, your
I
passion?
I'm a mess. But, you know, I think that my kids are now 11 and 13. I can leave them for a week and not much is missed from me. I mean, they revere me when I come back and I love them to death. But, you know, they're fine. They're good. They're learning. And so that's how I balance home life. Having 4 restaurants, it's funny, you have 1 or 2 restaurants. You have 1 restaurant, you work there 95 hours a week as a chef. You're doing everything. You have 2, you work 100 hours a week and you're bouncing between the 2. You have 3, nobody really at that point knows where you are. And it's great. great. You have 4 and they really don't know where you are, so you can do whatever you want. So it's great. The restaurants all have to, at this point, have the personality, skill, and wherewithal to operate on their own. I will walk in here and my vantage point, the prism of which I look at restaurants is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to walk around this restaurant every time I walk into it and fix things that I see that need to be fixed that nobody else is seeing, but they're looking at other things that they're more capable of dealing with. So, and I think that you deal with things and you juggle multiple ideas of what your world is and what your job is by empowering people and trusting in them and their skill sets. So I think that as a young chef and restaurateur, I knew that I had to do everything. At this point in my career, I'm really anxious and excited to always be surrounded by people who are better than me in a lot of ways. So at this point, I'm a baseball manager more than anything. I put the team on the field, and I figure out who's going to pitch, and I figure out who's going to black bat cleanup, and I figure out when we need to pull a player and bench somebody and change the order. And that's what I'm exceptionally good at, is figuring out the skill set of who's going to be running these places and be the personality behind it. Yes.
You mentioned your CSA box.
Mhm.
Who are some of your favorite local farmers or local farms?
Riverview Farms, just north of the city. Woodland Gardens, which is in Athens, Georgia, which is phenomenal. Crystal Organics, which is Nicholas Ford's place. A place called Indian Ridge, that you get us most of our forage stuff, is phenomenal. He sells at the Peachtree Road Farmers Market. The wonderful thing about Georgia and finding everybody's like, hey, how do you shop locally? It's like, it's not really that difficult. You just have to find them and support them. But there are so many great farmers markets right now in Georgia that we need to support them. When you say I have a restaurant that specializes in local farm to table food in New York City, you are pulling from farms that are 6 to 8 hours away from you. When we say that in Athens, Georgia, or Atlanta, Georgia, we are pulling from farms that are anywhere from 10 minutes to half an hour to an hour away from us. We have the amazing gift of a landscape, of a hard red clay soil that we can break through and give us bounty, and it has given us that. Now the trick to successfully curating and successfully celebrating that bounty is we have to buy it. And we have to buy it and support small local farms who are trying to be better than the big farms that are driving the prices downwards. Make sense?
Yeah.
Good.
Have you been out to Summerlin?
I have, yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's awesome. Yeah. Yes.
I started following you when you were a judge. When you became a judge on top.
Right.
And I love your no apologies, sorry, not sorry, I'm going to give it to you raw.
Right.
routine. How would you advise someone who is an aspiring chef and wants to follow in his footsteps in the local Atlanta market? What advice would you give?
Yeah. So with this, what advice would I give to young aspiring chefs? I spoke at Culinary Institute of America at Greystone in Napa the other day. I don't think the organizers thought I would give the speech and cooking demonstration I did, but it was about basically that the people in that room who are going to be chefs have a duty and a responsibility to make the industry. They can be a pretty crappy industry in a lot of ways. They have a duty to make it better. And they have a duty to call out exploitation and call out crappy wages and calling out sexism and misogyny in the industry, which is rampant. So I think that my advice to up-and-coming chefs is it's a lot of work and it's redeeming, but success is not becoming a quote-unquote celebrity chef, because I don't even know what the hell that is. It is about operating a business where you feel like you're leading people, and the community feedback is such that you're celebrated, and for being an integral part of a community, of a place. And my community used to be my environment around Athens, Georgia. Now it's Athens and Atlanta, and it grows to be Georgia, and then it's the Southeast. And I begin to have a responsibility for all of that, and I think that your responsibility is to give back. So I think success in chefdom is whether you're running a small place that's 24 seats, that you're delivering food that's making people awesomely happy, and service that's making them feel really at home, but you're also managing a staff that reveres you and enjoys your company, and you respect them and understand what they go through every day, and that you're willing to do anything that it takes to deliver for them as much as for the customer. So I think that's success. When you know that, you've succeeded. So. Yes, sir.
So, April and I ran into you at the airport and you were on your way to San Francisco.
Right.
We were there for 5 days.
Yep.
I know that you were on the Today show yesterday in New York.
Right.
And then I thought it was really weird that you were on the Today show yesterday with Carmen Davis and we're eating brunch together now.
Right.
And I thought how weird it is that your schedule is just so busy, especially right now with the tour. And then you walk in the restaurant and you're lost if you didn't know.
So last night I flew back to New York and jumped in my car and drove back to Athens and fielded phone calls along the way. And I got back, my family's gone to the beach and rented a house, so they're on their own. So it's just me and the cat. The cat doesn't even like me. But on the way home, I stopped at a supermercado and they had no idea why this white guy is buying 25 pounds of jalapenos. Trying to explain, and so I went home and I made salsa for 4 hours by myself because I had to make a ton for 300 tacos tonight for this event in my home kitchen, listening to music and drinking rosé. That was good. And so now I woke up at 5:30 this morning and worked out and got ready, and here we are again. So I'm Delta Diamond. Which means everything to me except when I'm flying to New York or San Francisco when 95% of the plane is also Delta Diamond. Second on the upgrade list again. So it's juggling a way. It's busier right now than it often is, but literally this week I'm here for 2 more days, and then I gotta Aspen for 4 days, and I go to New York for 2 days, and then back to Aspen for Aspen Ideas. I speak a lot about food policy now. I speak also about a charitable foundation I'm starting, which is called Seed Life Skills, and it's replacing home ec curriculum for public schools in Georgia. And our first test county is Clark County in Athens, so it's 4 middle schools, grades 6, 7, 8, and it's pretty much swapping out what they're using now for a life skills oriented thing. It's how to make a vinaigrette, how to poach an egg, how to sew a pair of pants, how to read a cell phone contract, how to sign a lease. It's true retainable life skills as opposed to making red velvet cake from a box and making instant croissants and making macaroni and cheese, because who cares? That's not how you feed a family, and it's not making better citizenry. So that's what we're working on now. So we've got a lot of balls in the air, but we don't drop many of them. I have the most amazing assistant in the world. She's about to have a baby. I love babies, but it's all good. I mean, you figure it out, and you figure out. Everybody asks the one problem I have is everybody asks me where I eat in Atlanta, and I'm always like, at home. Because it's actually the one place I don't eat out much. Is oddly enough is Athens and Atlanta, because I literally eat at home. If you ask me where to eat in San Francisco, I will give you my list from last week. We'll talk about it. It's great. Go to the Bridge Table and go to Bar Tartine and all these different places I can recommend you go. But here, I'm like, I don't know exactly this week where I eat. So, yeah. But I go for lunch a lot. It's literally at the counter at Busy Bee. Okay, anything else? Yes.
Very important question.
Okay.
You mentioned you were drinking rosé the other night.
Right.
Favorite rosé?
This was a Andre Neveu Sancerre Rosé from the Loire Valley.
That's fancy.
Not really that fancy. It's not expensive. It's $16, $17. So really good. And again, it's like cooking with your family at home. I don't think I'm gonna die. If I die with some credit card debt from drinking better wine than I should, so be it. Credit score don't matter after you're dead. Yeah, time for
Jinx.
questions. We have none. This is good. Nothing? Nothing? Nothing?
If you weren't a chef, what would you be?
Hockey player. No. Not big enough to be a hockey player. What would I be? I don't know, probably ads or advertising or something like that. I like that sort of style of thinking. I'm good at convincing. So,
Well, thank you.
which I choose.
You like them?
Liar.
I swear they're comedy. We are so happy you guys came. Thanks so much. Everybody have a good time.